So, as we already discussed, that soil organisms through soil food web play an essential part in the functioning of soil and carry out a range of soil processes. So, uh, of course, in general, each field, each forest, each pastures has a unique soil food web with a particular proportion of bacteria, fungi, and also other groups, and a particular level of complexity within each group of organisms. So these differences are the result of soil or soil itself, what grows on top of the soil, the vegetation, the climate factors, and as well as land management practices, the agriculture practices, the landscaping, for instance, or other and development. So this will affect the differences of the complexity of group of organisms in the soil. So soil organic matter includes all the organic substances in or on the soil. So soil organic matter, we call it SOM, soil organic matter, is the organic component of soil consisting of three primary parts, including small plant residues and small living soil organisms, decomposing active organic matter, and also stable organic matter. So stable organic matter includes what we call as humus. Okay, humus is not the food that you order, the crushed bean that you order in Arabic restaurant. So that's not the humus that I'm referring to. Okay, but bear in mind, try to understand. Well, humus is very important in soil ecology. Okay, again, sorry, off track a little bit. But organic matter is many different kinds of compounds. As many different kinds of compounds. Some are more useful to organisms than the others. So, in general, soil organic matter is made of roughly equal parts humus and active organic matter. Active organic matter is the portion available to soil organisms. Bacteria tend to use simpler organic compounds, such as root exudates or fresh plant residue. On the other hand, fungi, okay, tend to use more complex compounds, such as fibrous plant residues, or wood, and also soil humus. So intensive tillage triggers spurts of activity among bacteria and other organisms that consume organic matter and later on convert it to carbon dioxide. So depleting the active, then it will deplete the active fraction first. So which means when you do the active tillage, when you do the try to dig the soil, try to till the soil, what happens you make it into a small compound. So then it's actually it's made it available for the small organisms like bacteria to consume. So practices that build soil organic matter, such as reduced tillage. So this one, when you have reduced tillage and you use less till and regular addition of organic matter, so will build the soil organic matter, will raise the proportion of active organic matter long before increases in total organic matter can be measured. Okay. So as soil organic matter levels rise, so soil organisms play a role in its conversion to humus, which is a relatively stable form of carbon sequestered in soil for decades or even centuries. So imagine this. So if all the carbon that converted in the carbon dioxide converted by the plant, uh, that this carbon can be conserved in humus. Okay, when we can be sequestered in the soil. So if we do it correctly, if we manage the land correctly, so because if not, if you do the tillage, as all the soil organisms can consume and then bring back, because they respire, right? Then it can bring back the carbon back to to the atmosphere. So soil organic matter is the storehouse for the energy and nutrients used by plants and also other organisms. So bacteria, fungi, and other soil dwellers transform and release nutrients from organic matter. So these micro shredders, immature or repeated mites, skeletized plant leaves, and so on and so forth. So therefore, this starts the nutrient cycling of carbon, nitrogen, and other elements. We will cover this later on in this course. So again, so we need the soil energy, but one of the important part of humus is they conserve the carbon in the soil. So here are some terms used to describe different types of organic matter. So we have living organisms, of course. We have living organism, uh, which is including bacteria, fungi, nematodes, protozoa, earthworm, arthropods, and living roots. So we have dead plant materials, which are organic material, detritus, so kind of like surface residue. So all these terms refer to plant, animal, or other organic substances that have recently been added to the soil and have only begun to show signs of decay. So detritivores are organisms that fed on this such material. Active fraction organic matter. Okay, this is organic compounds that can be used as food by microorganisms. So the active fraction changes more quickly than total organic matter in response to management changes. Label organic matter here. So this organic matter that easily decompose. So once they become labeled, then they easily be decomposed. Of course, we have root exudates. This is a soluble sugars, amino acids, and other compounds that secreted by the roots. So we have also particulate organic matter or light fraction organic matter, where this POM and LF have precise size and weight definitions. They are thought to represent the active fraction of organic matter, which is more difficult to define because particular organic matter and light fraction is larger and lighter than other types of soil organic matter. So they can be separated from soil by using a sieve or by using a centrifuge. So another one is lignin. This is a hard to degrade compound. Okay, this is kind of like the last one to be degraded. Okay, so this include fibers and all the plants. So however, fungi can use the carbon ring structures of lignin as food. So this is the function of the fungi. So we also have some recalcitrant organic matter, which includes organic matter such as humus or lignin content material that few soil organisms can decompose. Okay, and finally, humus or humified organic matter, where complex organic compounds that remain after many organisms have used and transformed the organic material. So humus is not readily decomposed. So it's not readily decomposed because it is either physically protected inside of aggregates or chemically too complex to be used by most organisms. So humus is important in binding tiny soil aggregates and improves water and nutrient holding capacity. So of course, we already know that the soil food web can be very complex. So food web complexity actually is a good thing because this is a factor of both the number of species and also the number of different kinds of species in the soil. For example, a soil with 10 species of bacterial feeding nematodes is less complex than a soil with 10 nematode species that includes bacterial feeders, fungal feeders, and predatory nematodes. So complex ecosystem have more functional group and more energy transfers than simple ecosystems. So land management practices can alter the number of functional groups, like I told before, or even the complexity can be altered. intensive managed systems. I remember that I always use the term intensive land management. Okay, so such as using the agricultural land like tillage, have and sometimes we use monocropping. So have varied numbers of functional groups. Okay, so crop selections, the tillage practices, the residue management, the use of pesticide, herbicide, insecticides, and also the irrigation. They can alter the habitat for soil organisms. So, and thus alter the structure and also the complexity of the food web. So biological complexity of a soil system can affect processes such as nutrient cycling, the formation of soil structure, so the pest cycles, so and also the composition rate. The researchers have yet to define how much and what kind of food web complexity in managed ecosystems yet is what is the optimal complexity that we have for this soil process. If too much, too low, how much, how low? We don't know yet because the food web itself is very complex. So nutrient cycling, when organisms these are the these are some of the benefits of uh, the complexity, okay, being complex. Okay, so in terms of nutrient cycling here, so when organisms consume food, they create more of their own biomass and they release waste. The most important waste for crop growth is ammonium, NH4+. So ammonium and other readily utilized nutrients are quickly taken up by other organisms, including plant roots. When a large variety of organisms are present, nutrients may cycle more rapidly and frequently among themselves that forms that can used by plant, because plants need nitrogen, but nitrogen cannot be is not um how to say this, it's not readily available in the gas form. You need to convert it. So this is the role of the soil organisms. Another one is nutrient retention. So what it means by nutrient retention is the in addition to mineralizing or releasing nitrogen to plants, the soil food web can immobilize or retain nitrogen when plants are not rapidly growing. So they can store, kind of like store the nitrogen. So nitrogen in the form of soil organic matter and organism biomass is less mobile and less likely to be lost from the rooting zone than inorganic nitrate and also the ammonium. So that's the roles of soil organisms also. And also they can improve structure, improve the infiltration, and also water holding capacity. So many soil organisms are involved in the formation and stability of soil aggregates. So bacterial activity, organic matter, and the chemical property of clay particles are responsible for creating microaggregates from individual soil particles. So earthworms, for instance, and arthropods consume small aggregates of mineral particles and organic matter and generate a larger fecal pellets coated with compounds from the gut, okay, from their gut. So these fecal pellets become part of the soil structure. So fungal hyphae and root hairs bind together and help stabilize larger aggregates. So the improved aggregate stability, this will improve aggregate stability along with the burrows of earthworm and arthropods and other small organisms. So it will increase porosity of the water. So this, when you have the increased porosity in water, then can help in water infiltration and at the same time the water holding capacity. So another one that really interests me out of late is how the soil organisms can suppress diseases. I will have this a detailed discussion about this later on in this course. So because of this complex soil food web contains numerous organisms, they can have the check and balance. They can compete each other. They can compete with the disease-causing organisms. So these competitors may prevent soil pathogens from establishing on plant surface because they have a lot. So there's probably I don't know the ratio, probably one bad guy out of 10. So they can make sure they can protect the plant, because if they damage the plant, kind of like this way, we have one bad guy, and then we have a 9 good guy. So this bad guy tried to damage the plant, right? They try to once the plant damaged, so which means the 9 good guy cannot have their areas, right? So which means that they need to protect themselves, so they need to fight this one. So if we have this diversity in the soil, so somehow somewhat they can suppress this disease causing bacteria, or disease causing organisms. So these competitors may prevent soil pathogens from establishing in plant surface, so, and then prevent pathogens from getting food, feed, getting prevent them to feed on pathogens and or generate metabolites that are toxic, or inhibit the pathogens. Also, the we also that we can have the degradation of pollutants. Sorry, so an important role of soil is to purify water. So a complex food web includes organisms that consume or degrade a wide range of pollutants under a wide range of environmental conditions. And finally, diversity. So biodiversity can be improved by greater food web, because greater food web complexity means greater biodiversity. So biodiversity is measured by the total number of species as well as the relative abundance of these species and the number of functional groups of organisms. So a healthy soil effectively supports plant growth, so protects air and water quality and ensures human and animal health. So the physical structure, chemical makeup, and biological components of the soil together determine how well a soil performs these services. So in every healthy system or watershed, the soil food web is critical to measure soil functioning, including sustaining biological activity, diversity, and productivity. Okay, uh, they can regulate the flow of water and dissolve nutrient. They can store the and also the they can store and also recycle the nutrients and also other elements. And finally, they can filter and buffer or degrade or immobilize and detoxifying organic and inorganic materials that are potential pollutants. So these are the major 4 functions of soil organisms in the complex soil food web. Therefore, the interactions among organisms enhance many of these functions. So successful land management, okay, I stress it again and again, the land management, the successful land management requires approaches that protect all resources, including soil, water, air, plants, animals, and also humans. So many management strategies change soil habitat and also change the soil food web. Then therefore, it can alter soil quality or the capacity of soil to perform its functions. Okay, so we can choose how to manage our land to increase the amount of carbon sequestered as soil organic matter and reduce the amount of carbon dioxide, which is a greenhouse gas, to be released back to the atmosphere. So as the soil food web decomposes organic material, it releases carbon into the atmosphere as carbon dioxide, and at the same time convert it to a variety of forms of soil organic matter. So labeled or active fractions of organic matter stay in the soil for a few years. So stable forms reside in the soil for decades, sometimes 100 of years. So physically stabilized organic matter is protected inside soil aggregates that soil organisms in the first place help to create. So humified organic matter is stable because bacteria and fungi have helped form molecules that are too complex and large for soil organisms to decompose. So kind of like complicated over there, but remember they have different types of functions. Yeah. Of course, the function of the food web are essential to plant growth and environmental quality. So good resource management will integrate food web enhancing strategies into the regular activities of farms, ranches, forests, or even in our backyard gardens. Okay. Needed we need the research that will examine food web functions actually within the whole system and will support technology development. So technology to assess and maintain the functions of soil food webs will be developed to assist land management and researchers as they strive towards soil productivity and stewardship. So if you want to maximize the potential of the soil, you need to understand and then to utilize the soil food web. So in the coming years, we can expect progress in answering soil biology questions such as what is healthy food web. Okay, is it more useful to count species or type of organisms? Is it how should the biology of the soil be managed? So what are the costs and benefits of managing for soil biological functions? So these are important questions that needed to be asked and needed to be looked at to improve our soil our soil health in the future.